Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
You know, Matt, at our level in Division III, that there are no scholarships. The kids are there because they want a great education and they want to continue to compete with the lights on in uniforms and play for a championship. And that's a great thing. But they're also have they have a very strong academic program they're involved in. Yeah. They want a little bit of social time. We're not paying them to play at this level.
So it's a good balance.
And I mean, that's the Division III philosophy. It's about the student over the athlete.
Okay, so that perfect. I've never asked this question to anybody before, and so years ago, it was, way past Baylor, and after Coach Bliss had kind of resurfaced and was doing a lot of stuff with Athletes in Action, he actually came up to Faith and was at my very first practice here 9 years ago, and so we had kind of reconnected, and he told me, and I can't remember how it came up. He said, "Matt, you know what where the best jobs are in America in coaching?" I said, "No." He's like, "It's not D1, it's not D2, it's at a great D3 school." And I thought that was interesting coming from him with his, the experiences and the career he's had. So my question to you is, what does make D3 basketball so special?
That's a fabulous question. I appreciate you asking it. I think that, guys at my level and programs at this level, they sort of live in the shadows. It's the minor leagues of college basketball, so to speak. And, I've sort of taken on the opinion now that other than these Power 5 conferences, that we hear about all the time, that we're all minor leaguers, just different types of minor leaguers. Matt, I'm a D3 guy, it turns out. Now, I've worked at D1, and I've worked at D2, but D3 has been a great fit for me because of the kinds of kids I get at my place. And I know this because I keep track of you on Facebook. There's nothing that pleases you more than a kid that's moved on out of your program and going to school somewhere, and then he graduates and he's got a great job and he's doing, seeing kids go on and be successful in life. There's only a small portion of guys who are ever going to earn any money playing basketball. That's a slim and none opportunity.
Yeah.
And watching these guys grow and develop and have some balance in their life is probably the most satisfying thing that I do. And when they come back to me years later and they're doing fabulous things and they have families and they have young kids and they still have that great connection to basketball and the adventure and experience they had, it just fills my heart, to do that. And what we see in the media is not what I think real life is. I just think that there's a heck of a lot more to be gained by the kinds of kids I get to work with and be around than, hey, this guy's coming, he's going to stay 1 year and he's going on to the NBA. I know there's a place for that in this day and age, but it's not for me. I get to be with these kids for 4 years. I get to know them and their families, very well. I get to really follow along their academic interests. I had a kid who played 4 years for me. He just graduated in the spring. He's in biomedical engineering. He never made a B.
Wow.
Okay. And in biomedical engineering. So I won't tell you about, his intelligence factor. Right now he's in a doctoral program at UTD and he's helping to run a research lab. And he's like all of 22 years old. He's helping to run a lab. And I'm like, oh my goodness, really?
Yeah.
I got a guy that graduated with a mechanical engineering degree years ago, and he got his master's at our place. He's working. I got a knock at the door at my office one day, In walk these two guys dressed in suits, and they got a big badge on that says Department of Defense. Hey, we're here to talk about so and so. We're doing a level 5 clearance on him. And I mean, they spent 2 hours asking me the darndest questions. And when I see him now, he's all over the world for a defense contractor or whatever he's doing. And he'll say, well, I was in Australia last week.
That's cool.
I'll say, well, what were you doing? Coach, I can't tell you that. That's how
I could tell you, but
that's cool, man. That is cool to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. To have a guy that I coached who was in that particular position in his career and in his life. And I've got a million stories like that. And it's very satisfying to me. And I really do think in so many ways, Division III has it right with the balance between the athletic endeavor and the academic pursuits. Matt, it's so funny. We do we've scrimmaged some D2s over the year. Even the D2 guys think they're all going to Europe and playing pro ball. And it's just so competitive to do that. I'm not saying some don't or some
but
do.
The odds aren't in your favor to do that.
To not be passionate about your degree and to not really follow through, to put yourself in the best position to have a great career outside of basketball. I think that's a real mistake. And we just don't see that at Division III. I don't have to walk guys to class.
Yeah.
I don't have to suspend guys for missing class. I got guys that come to me and say, Coach, I cannot miss this class. I'm going to be 30 minutes late to practice. Well, there's no decision to be made there. That's what they came to school for. So I think I'm in a very, very unique environment. And that just so happens UT Dallas is one of the very finest schools in the country. Our average SAT is, off the charts, and kids coming from all over the world to be here with our computer science, engineering, pre-med, business. I mean, when I came to UTD 22 years ago, I was an East Coast guy. I thought I'd be here 3 to 5 years. And I go back to the East Coast where I belong. We get this thing turned around. I find another opportunity. And 22 years later, turns out that I just love the types of kids I get to work with. And they're just a lot of fun. And they're just as competitive as the next guy.
No doubt.
But they also keep it in perspective, and they have a real balance in their lives. And I think that makes it so much fun for me.
I think it's when I get to listen to players, high school players talk about where they could possibly go. I think going to the highest level possible is very overrated. I think what's underrated is actually enjoying the experience. I don't think people put enough value in that. And so when I was working for PGC for 5 years, a lot of the PGC basket instructors, so not like the directors like myself, but a lot of those instructors, they were almost all D3, some NAIA players. And it's funny is the campers would want to hear about my experience. Played at Baylor. I tell them, running out of Kansas was really cool, but I wasn't good friends with most of my teammates. My coaches, I didn't really know them. It was a grind and a job, and I was terrified every day that I wasn't going to have my spot or my scholarship anymore. And I don't really keep in contact with anybody. Does that sound good to you guys? But then these D3 guys, when they would talk about their experiences, I loved my coach. I love my teammates. They're some of my best friends. I played because I loved the game. That movie For Love of the Game always comes up when I'm thinking about that. And I think back, and I tell players now, I would love to have a story or an experience like that I can share, not the few things that made what I did cool. It's not, to me, it's not worth it. And so I love getting to talk to guys like you, and I love getting to tell players that there is a level of basketball out there that's the right fit for you, with people that care and with teammates that are just doing it because they love the game. I think that's special.
Yeah. I have an assistant coach who's been with me 6 years now. Jared Fleming played on my Elite 8 team back 2009, 2010. He was a good little player. So he's been my assistant for 6 years. We'll be up in the office watching film. and he puts his phone on silent, but that stupid thing still buzzes every time he gets a text. And his cronies, his college teammates, somebody will say something in a group text, and that phone will just bzz, bzz,
That's right.
bzz. And finally I'll have, will you tell those guys to shut up and get off the phone? You're screwing up my film session. And but that's how they roll. That's how they live. They live for each other. They do things together. Their families get together. Now, I think that's a great experience. And I think basketball is so much more than just basketball. It's an experience and it's adventure. I think about all the kids that walk around UTD every day who are in high academic pursuit, who will never have the opportunity to be part of a team like my kids do. And they have no idea what they're missing. They have no idea about the specialness of what it means to be on a team. That's sad for me, but on the other hand, I'm so thankful for the kids we get. And I know that these kids, that their lives are better for being on a college basketball team. I truly believe that.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.